we get so focused on just the content itself, like trying to do the how-tos and teaching great information and these sort of things. But often the case when I'm reading B2B content, there's no indication of the values of the organization or the business owner. What I'd like to see injected in the article that would actually make it more engaging is storytelling. I want to hear about clients you've worked with. I want to hear about your philosophies and what do you stand for. To be honest, a lot of it's generic. I could take the same piece of content, put it on your blog, on my blog, on digital market, I could put it somewhere else, and it's the same thing. What makes it different? The core message is the same, right? Here's how to run a Facebook ad campaign. But what makes it different is, the personality you inject into that content piece.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fier.
What's up? Hey, today it's your boy Joe leading us off. Don't worry, Matt will be back shortly. Today on the mic, we're going to have a good buddy of ours and also a fellow Hustle and Flowchart member. I guess in the member sense that he's a listener, he's a subscriber, he's in the Facebook group. You should go to the Facebook group, by the way, flowchartgroup.com. Go get there. But his name, I don't want to take any shining lights from Anfernee Chansamooth. Oh my God, Anfernee is a beast, and he's going to present a completely different concept that we've never chatted about on the podcast, and that is all about how to create case studies for your business and in your marketing. But these are case studies that aren't like boring case studies that you're not going to want to read or that don't do anything for you. These are very strategic case studies that are written in a format that he gives us, crazy step-by-step processes. There's 6 steps to do that. There's a whole strategy behind it. So he's going to deep dive into all of this. He is a content ninja. He's a strategist. He's a writer. He's a podcaster too. He speaks, and he is the director and I believe the owner of Simple Creative Marketing. And that basically is a company known for case studies and content that drive leads and sales for fast-growing service businesses, but also, let's be honest, that's any businesses. So he's really cool and has set up a free gift for you, and you definitely want to take him up on it because I've gone through this, and essentially this is going to deep dive into basically how to expand on these case studies. There's 6 steps to create the winning case studies that he'll cover here, but he deeper dives into those. A bunch of ways to share your case studies. And then, of course, you can get in touch with him as well. If you go to simplecreativemarketing.com/hustle, that's simplecreativemarketing.com/hustle. You can get Anfrenee's free gift to just the Hustle and Flowchart listeners like yourself. And that's about it. So I'm not going to say anything more. Anf is going to be a rock star and do that. If you want to join him, say hi to Anfernee, you can definitely go to that URL I just said, or you can go to our Hustle and Flowchart community Facebook group at flowchartgroup.com. Not only can you chat with Anf and ask him some cool questions about case studies, but you can chat with us and all that stuff. But more so than that, you can get the notes from this episode if you're quick. Of course, we're always taking the action notes for you. They are action guides you'll get. So there's a lot to be said in this episode. Just know that we have actually condensed all of that into a very cohesive format and flow that you can follow and put into action right away. That's our goal, is to make this easy for you. Not only do you get the cool, just the walkthroughs from AMP and our questions and all that, inside those notes, you're actually getting the action steps specifically on what to do with what we chatted about. So go to flowchartgroup.com and you will be quick. Within 2 weeks, those notes go away. And they get locked up into our paid membership, which is not that expensive. But either way, flowchartgroup.com is the place to be. And lastly, we have Ahrefs as our sponsor. They are our go-to SEO tool, content marketing tool. Pretty paired up well with these case studies, I might add. So I know Anfernee uses it as well, and you should as well. I just noticed today, I noticed a little while ago, but I've actually haven't dived into the courses until just recently. They have a whole academy that's totally free, and there's a specific course that probably works well with what we're chatting about today as part of a content strategy, and that's blogging. a lot of people have a blog, but they don't really have a strategy around it and how to get visitors that then turn into paying customers. So if you actually go to Ahrefs, this is totally free. You don't need to be a member of Ahrefs or a paying subscriber. You can actually go to their Blogging for Business course. And what they say is you can learn how to grow your blog past 100,000 monthly visitors and turn thousands of your readers into paying customers. It's 10 tutorials. It's something like 5 hours long. You don't have to watch it all or listen to it all, but they have an intense amount of just training that's totally free. If you are, and intense is a good thing. Don't overwhelm yourself because you can just check it out yourself. If you go to ahrefs.com, that's ahrefs.com, you can go check this out. Look for their Academy section. I think it's at the top, and Blogging for Business course. I mean, it talks about the compound effect of content marketing, strategies to grow a blog, how to analyze the potential for traffic around keywords, how to generate content ideas, how to optimize your articles around keywords, how great content actually promotes itself, how to get links. I mean, there's a lot of different things. There's even cool bonus content in there. One from one of the guys we follow, Noah Kagan, is an interview in there. Go check it out. It's free. I'm just saying this because this is a great way to kind of, if you haven't used Ahrefs and you kind of are looking for direction for writing and content and how to be strategic, go check out their training. It's totally free. But even better, go get the trial of Ahrefs because that's the tool that really is going to open up a lot of magic. It's only $7 for 7 days for that trial to test out Ahrefs. Go get it at ahrefs.com. That's Ahrefs. Go get it. It's awesome. We love it. And I think you will too. So let's get into the episode with Anfernee. Anfernee, we're live. Finally. How you doing, my friend?
What's happening, guys?
Man, I felt like this conversation's a long time coming. You've been around our community for a long time. I feel like we just have some kind of conversation going every week in some format, you know, for a while now. So, and you've been so helpful to our community and given so much value, connections too. So, thank you. I wanted to thank you publicly, man.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. I love what you guys are up to since I found out I first heard about you guys on Shramko's podcast. Mm-hmm. And so that was like, okay, any friend of James is a friend of mine. So, and two bearded guys who live in the States, why not?
James is coming back too. I just chatted with him the other day. We're going to do a little simulcast thing, you know?
I think for cool. James, it's going to be round 5.
I think so. It's always a good time. So we'll have to go to you and be like, hey, what should we talk about this time? Something around affiliate marketing. Yeah, man. So enough about us, I guess, and how, let's talk about you. So you're in Australia, correct? Right now?
Correct. Currently in Sydney.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's close to Shramko, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he's probably a boat ride away. Like he's in Manly, which is about 20 minutes from here.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Got to make my way out there. Yeah. Right. So you're out there. Give us the scoop on, I know you do a ton of content strategy, a lot of, some writing as well. You've also been, Matt, you were on his podcast.
I was on the Bean Ninja podcast.
Bean Ninja.
Yes, that's right.
There's an accounting side to everything. So give us the scoop of what brought you here.
I was working in corporate. I was working for American Express, and then I was working for Hewlett Packard. Mm-hmm. Project management was the role, and leading teams, right? And we were doing a lot of technology rollouts across globalization was a thing, and it started to become, outsourcing was becoming huge in a major way around that time. I had the unfortunate reality of essentially firing my entire team of 10 staff and then go and hiring the 10 staff that were going to replace them in India. Learned all about the challenges with outsourcing, and we from that point on, I kind of cut my teeth in learning about content, but not in the way that we think of in terms of writing articles and things like that. It was more around internally for the company. I was managing the intranet at the time. So it was all about how do we put stuff up on here that would be useful for the employees who want to read, right?
Yeah. Which no one wants to read that stuff anyway, so it probably has to be really good.
Right? It's like, I'm not sitting here reading, the company portal. But what I discovered was, if I started interviewing the team members and the managers and the senior leaders, that was interesting to people because they wanted to know behind the roles. They wanted to know, okay, well, what does this senior leader, what do they care about outside of their job, right? Do they have families? Do they, like to go gambling and drink on the weekend, whatever it is, right?
Sure.
And so that kind of was the genesis of this whole idea of just doing case studies. And I know that's something that we'll talk about more later, but for me, I started to realize, hey, we all have a story, and we all have the story that we put out publicly. And then we have the story that only a small circle of, close mates, family members, trusted people, maybe our lawyers, have that information, I'm really big on that, because I think we have a lot of shame and guilt behind those things that happen, outside of work. And sometimes it happens at work too, but typically we hold it close to ourselves, and sometimes it can really break us down, because we don't know who to talk to beyond our wives and partners and whatever else. Anyway, so I got into, around that same time, I started a personal blog, because I was having all these feelings and emotions around just what was happening at work, what was happening at home, and I started to explore this thing about, okay, what's this blog thing? I saw this come up somewhere, and I thought I'll better try this out, and so I started just writing. I wrote every day for about 5 years on this blog, and it was just a way, what it was? It was therapy. It really was just me going, this is all the stuff that's in my head. I need to get it out. And I don't care if anyone reads it or not, because at that point in time, I didn't understand traffic. I didn't know what the hell that was. And I just wanted a place to express, right? And then I found, yes, people were starting to read it, because then I would get comments. People would start saying, sending me messages and going, I read that thing that you put on your site about that particular topic, and it really resonated with me. And then I started to get this idea about, well, how can I actually turn this into a thing? How do I make money from this? How do I make it a living, right? Which I know a lot of writers will have. And I struggled for years. I didn't know how to do it. I ended up landing a marketing role for one of Australia's largest co-working spaces here a few years ago. And one of the main things they wanted me to do was to write content, all right? So... and it wasn't just me writing the content, but I had to manage the content coming out from all the other office spaces in the 3 different cities that we had at the time. And so I had to learn to become the editor, and also how to, empower the other team members to write content within a really hectic schedule that they had, right? So one of the biggest challenges you have, and if when you run an agency, you learn this too. It's getting content sometimes pulling teeth out of people.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so these were skills that really helped me develop what became Simple Creative Marketing, which is the business that I have now. I've run it for 5 years now, and I've been producing content, articles, video, you name it, for different clients. And one of those we interviewed Matt on was Be Ninjas, which is an online bookkeeping service for e-commerce businesses, right? So I had to learn within that industry, okay, how do we produce content that is engaging, and also that converts, right? Because one of the things is, they're hiring me to really come in and improve the lead generation aspect, and also the conversion aspect, right? And one of the key strategies we worked on was, okay, well, being that you're in accounting, you can't be too salesy. You can't be you're sending remarketing ads and buy my stuff and all these things. It has to be driven through stories, right? And it's got to be content that ranks on SEO, and it's got to be informative, and it's got to be useful, right? So what I've learned is there are sort of 5 key challenges that comes with content strategy. One, they don't have a strategy, right?
Yep.
Usually someone said, I listened to these guys, Matt and Joe, on a podcast, and they said, content is king. And then they go and try and produce a bucket load of content, and it doesn't produce the results they want. And one of the things I look at is, well, look at the quality of content, and how do you stand out with your messaging? Because if I'll use the Be Ninjas as an example, the thing that really stood out for that particular company was the story of the entrepreneur, right? It was, launched in 7 days, got their first 3 clients, and then within 9 months, they went to 6 figures, right? And that story was a story that the media wanted. That's the story that, other podcasts like Mixergy and these guys, they love those type of stories. And so you have to understand what's the narrative that the market wants to hear. And who's, I listened to your recent therapy sessions episode, and
you're on it, man.
Yeah, man. Came out today, the day we're recording this.
I was on it this morning getting my coffee, and this is it. You got to know your audience. You really need to know who you're talking to, and who are the competitors in your niche or in your industry that are really standing out in that market, right? And what are they doing, and what are the gaps?
Yep.
Right. And how do we close that? So that's how I got into the whole. I realized, for a while, SEM started off as a blog writing service actually, and we wrote tons of articles, And then within 6 months, the clients that came back to me and said, hey, Anf, loving the articles, they're sitting on our sites, but they're not really doing much, right? And I said, well, how are you guys promoting the content? Like, what are you doing with the content, Oh yeah, we put it on Facebook.
Come on, man.
Like, we put it in buffer and then we send it out. And I'm like, how many times do you do that? Once. Okay. Right. And so this is the problem. Like, you don't have a strategy to move people from reading the content, right? The content can be amazing, but if no one sees it, it's never going to get you the results you're looking for. And I'm sure you guys would understand this. There's a big myth out there that you can really accurately measure the ROI of content. And Gary Vee likes to say, it's like measuring the ROI of your mother.
No, it's true, because we've actually done this in the past. You probably heard it from previous episodes, but when we ran a content marketing agency, we wanted to make sure we can derive some result from the work that we put in, so we can show our worth, and so we want to get fired after they get enough content, quote unquote. So it was, we tried to attribute to leads and did fairly well, but still got fired because the new marketing manager came in. I mean, that happens all the time, but I know this. We know the struggle, because for the longest time we're like, how the hell do we quantify our results? Like, we can't just do this to do this. There's no security here.
Yeah, totally. And that's what we learned. We actually took us, like with Bean Ninjas, it took us 3 years for us to actually see the return coming back to us.
Wow.
Like at that point, the content started ranking. So we ranked number 1 for e-commerce accounting guide. If you go and Google that, you'll see it. And some other keywords. So we worked with an SEO consultant, got very strategic on where are the opportunities from a keyword perspective. And so we started to see, okay. At the same time, 3 years ago, we started doing the podcast, which we hit, we just hit 100 episodes a month ago or 2 months ago. Nice. Same deal. Like, we were every month looking at the metrics going, is this doing anything? Like, is it moving, the needle? But what we started to see was, we'd go out to events and people would come up to us and go, yeah, we heard you on the podcast. And we go, okay, so there's where the feedback is, right? We could see the numbers move. So from the data. All right, but we didn't know, was that helping with converting to sales? And I know James Schramko talks a lot about that, where you can actually, there are ways you can measure, the ROI of podcasting.
Right.
I know you guys have a real system behind this, but for a lot of businesses that I work with, they just, particularly in the let's say boring niches like accounting, they don't really get conceptually how does that all work. And so I had to sit down and I started to offer content strategy sessions, like 2-hour workshop. Let's map it all out. Let's look at what your next 90 days looks like. And if you don't, before we even get there, I usually work with them on the business strategy, right? The marketing strategy, and go, okay, well, what's the actual marketing strategy and what does that look like? Now, I don't know if you guys have aware of a book called One Page Strategy or something like that by Alan Dibbs.
Don't think so. No.
Yeah, and so I just use his template now with all my clients. Shout out to Alan. And one page breakdown the different elements you need to understand what your marketing strategy is, and then from there, you can then go out and do your content strategy, which is, okay, over the next 90 days, what are you producing that relates to driving acquisition or driving, for some clients, it's a case of retention. So it's not always acquisition. It's sometimes how do we keep the clients that we have?
Yeah, recurring businesses and whatnot. Yeah.
And I know you do that with your membership really well. So you're producing content which is specific to membership only. You don't have it publicly.
Yes.
And so, that's a great strategy. So that's an area that I work closely now with a handful of businesses on is what's the strategy? And then let's go away and implement the strategy. Now, one of the pieces within that strategy is case studies. All right. It's going to be, I'm like, going hard at going, okay, I'm going to be the guy for case study marketing and let's make that a thing. Let's make it a category because I just feel people do a poor job of it. Like they kind of make it the last thing on the list. It's like, oh, we should get Google reviews from our clients. We should get, some testimonials on our landing pages. We should get some case studies to put on our, in our collateral, right? But when they do it, it's kind of half-assed. It's like, okay, what was the problem? What was the solution? What did you like about our service?
Right.
And that's okay. All right. But the kind of case studies we've been doing for Bean Ninjas and other clients, what we've seen happen is they're not only great stories to share, but they actually do lead to conversion.
Yeah, it's like a positioning in the right part of the offer, right? It's probably a case study that relates to whatever thing you're trying to prove about yourself, right before they have to commit. So it's like, boom, here's a case study. Here, relate to this person or this scenario.
100%. We see the best example I like to use is personal trainers. Because when they're putting up photos on Instagram or wherever it is, the before and after, here's Anfernee, he was 50 kilos overweight. And, after 3 months, here he is and he's lost 20 kilos and he looks pretty good. Like that's a boom, like you're sold. If I'm wanting that's, you don't even have to convince me because I can see it visually, right? It's a bit harder with business because we don't see the physical change. Yeah. But what we can see is a change in the numbers or the data or the traffic, from in your analytics dashboards and things like that. So there are ways that we can do it from a B2B or business perspective. We just got to get more smarter around using it.
Yeah. Well, let's break down some of your strategies here. You started to talk about the 5 things that people are doing wrong with their content strategy, right? So you mentioned the first one was no strategy. Did you say the other 4?
No, I didn't.
Okay, let's dive into that. Let's talk about these 5 mistakes that people are making with their content, and then after that, let's dive into the case study marketing and really sort of deep dive into how people can leverage case studies in their business.
Sure. So the question is, what are the common challenges with content marketing? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that was it.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so first one, definitely no strategy. So there's no plan of attack. It's like, okay, well, what's the relationship between the content that you're producing and the business goals and business objectives? Is it revenue? Is it retention? Is it partnerships? Is it, whatever it is for you, you need to understand what that is. The second one has to do with I like to say showing up at the wrong party. And what I mean by that is you are dressed up. Let's say I'm a fan of Avatar, the animation, if you guys know what that is. Big fan. And I'm dressed up as Aang, and then I walk into a party which is for Trekkies. Right? And the Trekkies look at me and go like, what the hell, man? like, I think you're in the wrong party. Right? And that's exactly what happens with content. Like you have the intention of putting content out on different channels. So you go, okay, my target audience sitting on LinkedIn, they're sitting on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, right? But all you do is you take that article or the video you've produced and you just share the same thing everywhere in the same format. You don't customize it. You don't tweak it based on the platform you're sending it to. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're showing up with one costume to all the parties, right? Yep. And that doesn't work. Okay, because people can see through that. People can see, like I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at your video and it's not even, the dimensions aren't even right. So it's even hard for me to read, like this text is cut off, so I don't even know what that says, right? So you really want to understand the nuances of each platform that you want to play in, and, or community that you're playing if you're doing sort of going into different communities. And you'll learn very quickly that each party or each event or each place has its own language, has its own preferred formats, right? And so you need to really customize the content for that. And I know I think you had Hani Mura from Repurpose on the podcast a while back, and he's got this fantastic tool. It's one of my secret weapons, just for taking like a live stream and turning that into like 30 pieces of content.
Repurpose.io.
Right. But what it does beautifully is it customizes for you, right? It basically takes the content, the video, and goes, okay, let's make it square, or let's make it long, let's make it whatever, and automatically does that for you, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So that's number 2. Is that 2?
Yep, that was 2.
Yeah. Okay. The third one is a lack of understanding of brand, right? And what I mean by this is we get so focused on just the content itself, like trying to do the how-tos and teaching great information and these sort of things. But often the case when I'm reading B2B content, it actually there's no indication of the values of the organization or the business owner, right? So if I'm reading an article, what I'd like to see injected in the article that would actually make it more engaging is storytelling. I want to hear about, clients you've worked with. I want to hear about your philosophies and what do you stand for, right? Because a lot of it's to be honest, a lot of it's generic. A lot of it is, I could take the same piece of content, put it on your blog, on my blog, on Digital Market. I could put it somewhere else, and it's the same thing, right? What makes it different, right? Because the content is the core message is the same, right? Here's how to run a Facebook ad campaign, right? But what makes it different is, the personality you inject into that content piece, right? And because you guys are doing podcasting, it's brilliant. It works well because you automatically inject your personality.
Always, almost too much sometimes. You're right.
But it works for you because that also qualifies people out. People who don't like, the beards and whatever else. It's not for me, right?
Those damn beard haters out there.
Exactly. For me, the hat haters, man. Even though I like hats, I'm not your guy.
I know. I'm always you're always right on the hat game, man. Gotta go. Carry on.
And so and that's it. And so in your content, you want to actually infuse. I was working with this type of client, and it's also a good place to do your name drops, where you drop who's the client you've worked with, right? Or here's an organization, particularly if they have reputation. Even if they don't, it doesn't matter. But you can even talk about the stories about, if you've got pets, that you love pets, you've got kids, you love kids or don't love kids, whatever it is, right?
Sure.
Infuse some personality. And so when I talk about brand, it's actually what stays connected to the people or the business that's reading. When they're reading or consuming your content, what sticks with them is, what's your business about? What are the values where we have alignment? Because that's who I really want to play with, right? If the content, if the 5 steps on how to do X is great, that's the minimum of what people are expecting these days. Because I can get that from anywhere, right? I Google that. 200 articles that show me the 5 steps.
Well, and the thing with Google, if you think about it, if you relate it to with no personality, they're just going to index that where they don't even need to click. You don't need to click to the blog anymore. It's just like, boom. All right, here's your recipe, for Facebook ads. Like you want to be in there, but you kind of don't want to be in there.
Absolutely. And that's the thing I kept on going back to my clients about. And I said, what's your point of difference, or what is, your 3 or 5 values that you care about, and what's the business really about beyond just making money? Because I think I have a belief that most entrepreneurs and business owners have a why that extends beyond just making cash, right? Now I know there's some that do, but I think for the most part, like I know you guys have families, and that's who you're really supporting. Like that's what it's about, right? So brand is a good one. I would really recommend people understand it, read about it. That ties to positioning, which is there's a great book by April Dunford called Obviously Awesome, and that she's been working in the world of corporates and startups for the last 10 or something years, and been able to really help people understand positioning, because brand and positioning are tied. So one of the key there was a book by Al Reese, and I can't remember the other guy that the co-author. Which was actually called Positioning, that came out in, I think, in the 80s. And they talk about, what's the difference between a Coca-Cola, which is a number one. If you ask people or anywhere, you go anywhere around the world and you ask what is the number one Coca-Cola, like Coke brand, right? Most likely they're going to say Coca-Cola, right? There's a position that sits in their mind. And they talk about this concept of a positioning ladder, right? So in every consumer's mind, there's a ladder. Right, and in that ladder, they're ranking 1, 2, 3, 4 to whatever. And there's a maximum of you could probably rank 10 brands, and then beyond that, you just forget everybody else, right? And so when you're looking at your own business and where you sit within your niche or your industry or your vertical, you need to understand, how do you position in your consumer's mind or your buyer's mind? Where do you sit, right? Are you the Tesla of automobiles, or are you the Lexus, or are you the Ferrari, right? Each one of those have different positionings, right? They're all cars. At the end of the day, they all do the same thing. They get you from A to B, right? But they have different plays in the market to position, right? And so that's very important, even in your affiliate marketing, right? Because we're going to talk about affiliate marketing, and that's something that you guys are really big on, right? Where do you sit in the realm of affiliate marketers who are marketing one particular product or service, right? And how are you different from all the rest of them, right? And that's where you got to understand, okay, I'm going to focus on this part of that particular product set, whatever it is, that most people aren't really looking at, right? And I will highlight that, because then when people are searching for that thing, they're going to find me, and they're not going to find the rest of the other people, right? And that's positioning,
This is like kind of freaking me out, and it's like no one else knows. But I was on a call the other day with someone from Michael Gerber's team, and he was talking about this exact book, this exact same concept, and this whole thing I was talking to you about right before starting this conversation was exactly this, and how powerful this is. I mean, we're talking in the context of content, but in general, business. And I don't want to open up a wormhole because we got a lot to cover. But just wanted to say this is kind of like my mind's like, wow, okay. It's supposed to be important.
Yeah.
So it's showing up a lot.
So branding and positioning was the third thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so two more of these. Let's jam maybe through this so we can get enough time for case studies too.
Yeah, cool. And then so then I look at those. The fourth one is tone of voice, and that this is related to branding as well. But I also mentioned that in terms of your personality. But tone of voice is important. Most small businesses that I've worked with, they don't really have. They usually have a brand style guide, which is the visual element. How does your website look? What are your colors? What are your logos? These sort of things. What they're missing is what is the brand voice? Okay, and is it professional and funny? Is it serious? Like you've got. If you look at who does this really well, comedians do it really well.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at different comics, one comic will be really dry humor. And they'll get on the stage and they're just like straight faced and, but they get a ton of laughs. And then the other side, you got the outlandish comic who's out there saying really ridiculous things and pushing people's buttons. And that works for them, right? But they differentiate based on their tone of voice, right? And that's something that you can apply to all your content is, Bean Ninjas is a good example. We're accountants, right? But we're accountants that talk about surfing. Talk about going to a pub and having beers with each other and networking in different ways. And we've introduced our company mascot, which is Wayne. He's the director. He's got a new puppy, and so the puppy's become the mascot, and the puppy's appearing up in email onboarding sequences and things like this now.
So you guys are accountants that have fun. That are just like cool dudes. Yeah,
that's it. And that's what it is. And people show up and go, yes, I know you guys. You guys are fun, and that's by design, right?
Yeah.
So brand voice, and what that is. Yeah.
Cool.
And then we've got one more. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Matt, what do you think it is?
Yeah. What do you think it is? No, let's not go there. So I will go. The last one is actually a system. Okay. So what is your content system or your content engine? So how do you tie all this together? We talked about repurposed. That can be your system. But what is the system from the buyer's journey, interest into consideration, into purchase, into post-purchase, or what we call turning into an ambassador, right? What does that look like, and how does content fit into each piece of that journey, right? And do you have content that fits in each piece of that journey? Okay, and so we talked about case studies earlier, and case studies fit within one piece of that journey, right? But I've actually worked out a way to actually utilize case studies across the entire journey because they can be valuable. And we can, so that's the 5. Do you want to recap those, Joe or Matt?
We got strategy is the first one, it seemed like, right? Showing up to the wrong party basically is number 2, because we're taking our notes over here. Lack of brand and values, number 3. Number 4, tone or brand voice. I think that's a big, powerful one. And then the system is the 5th. And I like that you did this, because now we could talk about case studies and the fact that you can use them in different ways along this journey, which is, I think, probably one of the most important things that business owners don't realize is, you could scatter shot this stuff everywhere, but unless you connect on a cohesive path, give them off ramps or ways that they can go down a different journey. Now with case studies and affiliate marketing or any kind of marketing, you can apply these things to that specific scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So case study,
absolutely.
How do we get started? Or I guess why case studies over like testimonials? Because people talk about testimonials, I would say way more than case studies.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge I have with testimonials is testimonials can be faked because it's usually text, right? It's text on a screen, text on a page, right? So, and that's been a challenge for Yelp. It's been a challenge for Google from day one. It's like, how do we know that the testimonial hasn't been fabricated, right? When you do a case study, it typically takes a lot more work, right? Because you actually have to have, I advocate having video of the interview that you're having with the client, because then you can actually utilize the video. And I always, look at if we go, let's if I share the format, it will make this makes more sense. But with testimonials, now there's a place for testimonials. I'm not saying don't do testimonials at all. I actually think, like you can't leave a case study in a Google review. You can't leave a case study, on a podcast review, right? Like it's got to be
good point.
Right, a paragraph or a few sentences, right? So you can use them in different places on your landing pages. You can have it as a testimonial with someone's face or a company logo. That's fine, right? Where it becomes more compelling is if someone is in that consideration phase. If they are reading a testimonial that says, I hired Anf, or I worked with Matt and Joe, and they were great. Right, and usually a lot of the worst place to see this is on LinkedIn profiles, because you go and look at the recommendations and it's all generic, like boring stuff. Like you're reading it and going, he was such an asset to the organization and he'd be an asset to yours, right?
What I would never say that. Yeah, right. And I think a lot of these platforms even have like pre-filled things that can kind of help you out. I'm like, no, that's like the word. Here's an example of what you can write. Yeah, it's like,
right. And so. You want to move away from that. If you're doing it, don't blame you, because it's kind of the industry. Everyone does that. Yeah. But you can definitely stand out by having solid case studies. Now, case studies are more in depth. So it's actually, let's go through, let's walk through the format. If I share the format with you, then
perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So we start off with the headline has to be like copywriting 101 or advertising 101. The headline has to pop. And what I mean by that is it's got to have a clear metric, right? I've seen case studies that start off with satisfied customer. Like, really? like,
just satisfied,
what? Huh? Yeah, or super happy, I was super happy with Anfrenee's service. Like, what? No, you want it to be, really strong. And I'm going to share one that I did recently for Bean Ninjas, which is a company called Bento. Their client is a company called Bento, which is a SaaS business for e-commerce. And the headline literally reads, reducing Bento's bookkeeping time to 5 minutes per month.
It's pretty good.
Right? Okay. And so, and the target audience obviously are business owners who don't have time to do their books, because they don't want to do it. They don't want to read. They're not accountants, so they don't want to do that stuff. Right. And so you start with the headline, make that pop. And then we go into, okay, well, let's profile the client. All right. So who's this interview or this case study about? Right. Any ideas as to why we wanted to profile the client first?
It feels like that's your context, right? Like that would be like laying the, or it's a relatability to the reader. Yeah, it's a before. That's what it is, before and after.
Ding, right? So with your case studies, you want to, before we even start this process, when I sit with my clients, we start with a strategy and we go, okay, well, who's your target audience? What are the potential buyers or the avatars, right? And then who are you going after, right now? Okay, so if you're going after e-commerce businesses, for example, then we would go, okay, well, let's do case studies on e-commerce businesses first before we do. If you do other businesses, that's fine, but let's pick and be very clear. That's who you're going after. So we're going to do case studies and put that to the market so they know that you serve that type of client, right? And so that's why we chose to work with this particular example. Was we sat down, we profiled the company, so we give a bit of a blurb about Bento and the business and what it does, right? And a bit about the entrepreneur as well. So the entrepreneur creates relatability, it creates personalization. So we can go, okay, I can relate to this guy. He's, traveling and living in Japan. He's, he's I can't remember if he's married or not, but, there's human elements to that, right? And then we move from, okay, what's the company profile, to we move to the challenge, all right? So this is number 3 in the format. Okay, the challenge is, and in the interview, I'm uncovering with the subject. I'm asking questions like, okay, well, what were you, what service were you using, or what product were you using before you decided to use this particular product or service, right? Or it could be product or products or service, like they might be, and also what were you using, but also what were you evaluating? Because when people go through a buyer cycle, they're looking at options. Do I go with lead funnels? Do I look at click funnels? Do I look at, what are different things, right?
So you're kind of calling it out so they know that you understand them. You're not like, you're calling out the elephant in the room. You're not the only solution out there.
Yes, absolutely. And, Tim Solo from Ahrefs does this really well, right? Because he gets on a podcast and he goes, yes, we exist, but so does SEMrush, so does all these other ones. He just calls it out straight away, right? And so this is what you want to do, because you want to say, we understand that the competitors are there. We know they're there, right? And we're not going to pretend like we're the only provider out there, right? Because that's, in a way, you're assuming that the customer or the client is dumb, which is, you don't want that to come across, right? No, we respect that you're evaluating us amongst many. Okay. And so we asked, when I asked Jesse, okay, what were you evaluating? Who were you looking at? He told me, okay, we incorporate that in the mix, right? In the story. Okay. And then we also asked, well, what were the pain points? And he said, I was working with an outsourced bookkeeping company in India before you guys. They were terrible. They did an okay job, but the problem was when it was tax time, I had to go back and re-look over the last 12 months of my books, and that took me literally hours sitting there trying to fix their work because they were screwing up, right? And I went, that's gold. Okay, like who else reading this has outsourced to someone in India or in the Philippines and they're struggling? All right, so they can relate straight away. So you've got a challenge, and then you go, okay. Then I went, okay, well, how much time are you spending? Because this is where the reverse engineering is important, because when you understand who your avatars are, you also understand what their pain points are, right? So when you're doing the interview with the client, you want to elicit those pain points and actually dig into those specific pain points. How much time are you wasting on this thing? How much money have you invested in this thing? How much, resources have you put into it, right? How much, so you're pulling these different elements out of the client, all right? And
they're like emotional triggers. You're trying to get the the real meat out of that stuff. Like, give me the goods, man. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's it. And he comes out and he gives me all these things, and he goes, "Anf, to be honest, man, I just hate Xero. I don't want to be in there. I don't want to even look at the damn thing. I just want to be selling my product," right? Because he's the founder, and that's his role, right? And I'm going, boom, tagline. That's it, right? And you'll see that's what it is. Okay, so we move from, so number 3 is the challenge. Then we move into the solution, okay? And the solution here is your your process. So as the business, what is the process that you take your clients through to get the result, all right? So, and I've been asked on another podcast, well, how much of the secret sauce do we give out here, Anf? Like, do we give it all? Do we, because some companies want to hide their IP. They don't want everyone to steal their stuff, right? And I'm going, is it in your interest to tell more or to tell less? Because remember, you're trying to convert a sale here, right? And if you're hiding information from the prospect, right, then how do you think they feel? Because they're just going to go, I want someone I can trust. So, and trust comes from sharing, right? And I'm not saying give everything away. I'm not going to go to Colonel Sanders and say, give me your 5, special spices, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, give me the process that you took the client through. Right. And if you can add, I had Ilana, she interviewed me. You guys had her previously on the show. And she talked about, when she did a case study, she had a screenshot of the Google Ads account of the traffic and of the Facebook ads account before the client hired her, and revealed these were the ad spend that they had allocated, for that month or 3 months. And then she had the after snapshot, which was, here was the change in ad spend, and here were the results, the return on investment, these sort of things. And you could this is the personal trainer before and after. Like, you literally could see the difference and the change, right?
Yeah.
So in the solution piece, that's what you're revealing. Here's the before and after, and here are the steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah, with screenshots. I guess if you put visuals, then you have even more anchoring, like in people's minds, not just text or video.
Yes, 100%. Right. So when you can do it. And for affiliate marketers, and what we do, this is where product walkthroughs and things like that make sense, because you can actually walk people through. Here's how I implemented the campaign. Here's how I used the product, whatever it may be. And I know you guys do that really, really well. So, that's the solution. Then we move to the result. Okay. So now we're cycling back to what you put in the headline, because the headline was a short, punchy sentence, right? But now you're going to elaborate on that. And when I say elaborate, you're using the client's words. Okay. So, because in the interview, Jesse didn't say to me, oh, what you did was reduce my bookkeeping time to 5 minutes per month. And that's not what he said. He literally, we spoke for 20 minutes to me to get that out of him. And then, he said things like, what did he say? He said, it was kind of interesting when I talked to my accountant. I told her that I was using you guys. She was like, oh, you're using all the pro features, like your journal, she was just going on about how good it was comparatively with you guys. Xero is being used correctly and properly. I'm just happy that my accountant's happy, right? And that's, that's it. That's that's a result. It's not the only result, but that matters for some people. They don't want to piss off their accountants.
Well, you want to highlight, it seems like the big result that they're after, the pain point that before they found you.
Yeah. So we're looking at the tangible. We saved X number of hours or increased, percentage of revenue or whatever it may be. But we're also looking at what are the emotional benefits tied to all of that, right? There was another case study I did where it was all about transitioning this person from working full-time in their business to that they hired a coach and they worked through a program. At the end of the program, they ended up in a position where they had a system in place, but that they were able to bring their VA in. The VA took over, and that freed up the business owner's time, right? And so when I interviewed the business owner, I said, like, I love that you were able to free up, 10 hours a week, whatever it was. What did you do at that time? And she said, and to be honest, I got the time back with my son, right? Like every Sunday I would be doing admin work, right? And so he'd be going, mom, and I just hated having to say to my kid, I'm working,
right?
And this is even more powerful with COVID, right? Because now we understand, like, presence with our families is the best thing we can have.
Oh yeah, right? Man.
And so that was the thing. I said, dude, like when I went back to my client, the business owner, I said, dude, like that's the thing. Like your clients want time with their family members because they're so in the business, stuck in the business. You help them unlock that, right? That's what you lead with, because your potential clients are going to want to hear about that stuff, right? So that's the results. We're clear on that one.
Yes. Yep. That's awesome, man. Okay. You got more, huh? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then the last one is you got a result. The last one is your call to action.
Got it.
Like any piece of content, you want to have a call to action. Okay. So book a call with us, check out our free course, whatever it is that you have, lead magnet things. Here's a free training. Make sure there's a call to action on the bottom of that page.
Got it. Any best practices around call to action, or is it just pretty straightforward at that point? They should be sold. There's no more, I guess, like explaining the process of what happens after.
No, I think at that point you're going to overload the person. If you go into the post onboarding and let's get into all of that, I think let's not do that. Pretty straightforward. Like I link your call to action to, if you can remember this, they're considering the service or your product. So at this point in time, straight to the product or the service, right? This is, our next step.
Yeah. So how would we apply this to affiliate marketing? So, we going through this whole thing again, you've got the headline. That one is fairly self-explanatory for how you apply it to affiliate marketing. But then you go into like profiling the client. Who is this about? Like, what would be the equivalent sort of thing we would do if we're writing content to promote an affiliate offer, but we want to follow the same framework?
Yeah. So in that case, you'd have to, like, I know you guys build relationships with the product creators. So if I had, for example, if I was doing an affiliate program or a campaign for Ryan Dice and what he's doing with Ask Method, I'd be going, hey, Ryan, can I use some of your case studies, right? Can I either have access to the people, or I'm sure he's already done the case studies, so maybe I can leverage those and share their stories, right? Because this is the thing, people still want to see, even if it's an affiliate product, like they still want to see other businesses like theirs having used the product, right? So you want to make sure that you going, in most cases, like I know there's some other products I've done work with where they've literally just gone, here's 7 or 5 case studies that you can use in your email copy. You can use it on the landing pages or whatever it may be. And I like to go a step beyond that and go, can I bring that person onto a Facebook Live and have a chat with that person, right? Or something like that. So there's different ways you can do it, but you definitely want to access, now if you've already used the product for yourself, which I recommend you do, and I know you guys do, then and you've used it with your own clients, then that's easier because you can go to your clients and go, hey, remember how I told you to get onto ConvertKit and you bought the thing and and thanks for the monthly recurring payment, but how has it helped you, right? And then you basically go through the process with that particular person and you share that, right? So so that's a way you can go about it.
So what if the case study was about like our product? Do you think it loses some power because it's us creating a case study about something we did to promote an offer? Or do you kind of get what I'm saying here? Like if we're the ones that we're profiling with this case study, do you believe that it's not going to be as effective of a case study? Or can I use myself as the company that we're profiling?
You can use yourself. I would always supplement, if you can, with some additional. The reason for that is when it's just you profiling yourself, it becomes a bit of a dicky thing. Like it depends on who's it's like I'm out there going I'm the best, right? It's now there are situations, and I'll give you an example where I just did a walkthrough video. I'm about to do one for Repurpose, right? For Honey's product, and that's just me walking through my system on how I use the tool, and that's perfectly fine, right? But that's not me going I'm fantastic or anything. That's just like this is the tool, and how I use it, right? So when you do your walkthroughs of Thrive Theme, Thrive Cart, and those sort of things, that's all perfect. No issues with that at all, and you can actually say, here's the results. Having implemented this product, this is how we were able to generate X sales or whatever it is that came from that. That's perfectly fine, Matt. Like I think that's cool. Just if you can get additional where you've actually also given the product to some other clients and they've done it, right? Now it's just like you're stacking it up, right? You're stacking the value where people go, it's not only that you guys done it for yourself, because people can question that. They can go, yeah, but that's you selling it, like that's you.
Well,
right?
an easy way to just go to a Facebook group where the users are all at. Like we have a Thrive Cart group. There's a Convert Box group. There's all these. Just put a post in there and be like, "Hey, what best thing have you?" Just ask.
That's it.
How do you actually? What would you recommend as a prompt in that scenario? Because I feel like you can get a lot of case studies in that way.
Yeah, like I've seen that done in groups where they just the group owner just goes, "We're going to do an article or a video or something about this particular product. Would love to hear from you guys, what's been the biggest advantage or the best feature."
Yep.
And they just go, boom, they just slam it, right? And then you just pull, and you just go to each one of those people and just make sure you get the okay for them to share it publicly.
Right.
And once you got that, you've got gold.
Yeah, I would probably not even say I'm going to make content where I'm like, hey, I just want to know about this stuff. Make it almost like there's no weird thing, and then later ask for the permission. Like, okay, hey, actually, I want to highlight you a little bit further here.
And that's exactly how I do it. Yeah.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying, Matt?
Cool. Yeah, there's one last rabbit hole I want to go down before we start to wrap up, and that's how do we get eyeballs on these case studies?
Beautiful question. Okay, so I've got this. Obviously, I've shared this article with you guys, but I've got 15 ways to share business case studies to people who most likely would buy. I'm going to add a few more to that. Since I've been doing these interviews, I've just had more ideas come up now. Yeah. But let's go through. I'll give you the first 5, and then people can go check out the resource later. Number 1 is you definitely want to share the case study on social media, and I'll tell you why this is powerful, and I'll give it a case study of a case study. Going meta. So essentially, that one we did with Bento for Bean Ninjas, we did so I took the headline, right? I put that into a tweet, right? So client success, here's how we reduce, companies, blah, blah, by 5 minutes per month. Read more, and that links off to the page that sits on the website, right? We tagged the client in that tweet, okay? So he receives the notification on his side, right? And he immediately retweets it, okay? Within 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes of him retweeting, someone on his Twitter feed comments and says, hey man, I need that too. I'm going to contact this company. And so a call was booked, and then within 3 days, that person became a client, right? Because when it's the right mix of message, right, to result-driven message to, obviously that person checked out the case study before they booked the call, right? And they read through it, they saw how it all worked out, and they're seeing their buddy, getting the result, and they're like, I want that too, right? So that's a good way to use social media. Now, someone else who does it really well is Brian Harris. I think you guys know who he is.
Oh, Video Fruit.
Yeah, Video Fruit, now Growth Labs. So he literally has a tweet, and he does it once every week or so, where he basically has number of clients that had wins last week, total revenue impact. Then he's got 4 bullet points of each client with specific outcomes. I'll read it. I'm looking at it so I can read it to you. He's got one where he says 104 wins last week. Total revenue was $82,000. Bullet point 1, Dawn landed at a new 15K client. Bullet point 2, Shane closed 2 clients for 20K. Bullet 3, he just lists 4 clients and what their results were, and then puts a link and it says, see all 104 wins, click here. And you click it, and it sends you to his results page, client success page, right? Which is tip number 2, which is you got to have a client success page on your website somewhere, right? And this is where you load it up with all your case studies, all right? And then the way you break that down, you want to break it down is into verticals or industries that you support. So if you support e-commerce and SaaS and coaches and consultants, then call that out, right? And have case studies listed under each heading, right? one business that does this really well is Xero, which is the bookkeeping software.
Yep. With the
accounting software. Yeah. With an X, thank you. So they have a page on their menu which is Meet Our Customers, and if you click through that, it's all video, like they're beautiful, like images and videos and things, and it's broken down by industry. So that's a good example if someone wants to look
Very
at that.
cool. Okay.
All right, that's number 2. Number 3 is proposals, right? So I'm usually talking to B2B. So use your case studies in your proposal templates. So if you are an accounting firm, whatever, dentist, I don't think dentists send proposals, but if you are sending proposals out, you want to embed within your proposals, 1 or 2 case studies that are relevant to the client that you're sending the proposal to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is really good. Again, this is about conversion. So now we're using this content in a sales conversation.
Right.
Now we're at the point where, we've already had the discovery call. We've already gone through, you need this, and they've gone, yep, I need it and I want it. Here's a proposal, and here's, just in case you were evaluating other options, here is another case study, just to show what we've been able to achieve, and that works really well. So that's number 3. Number 4, everyone can do this right now. Put a case study into your email signature.
Right? Smart.
Right, so go into case study, same headline that we use for the tweet, same headline that we use for the case study itself. Put that in the email signature. By the way, we helped XYZ company to achieve X. Click here to read more about it. Boom, right? Straight to your customer success page.
I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
All right. And then number 5, for a lot of us who are doing presentations and going out there and doing talks and webinars and summits, embed your case studies in your presentation decks, right? So make sure, this is where I see a lot of small business owners mess it up. They do so much effort to get onto podcasts, they get onto stages and they present and they do like a whole ton of 30 minutes of teaching someone a concept or how to, but they and for some industries like accounting, they have no pitch events, so you can't end your talk and start pitching a service, right? But the way you can sort of sneakily, if you want ninja trick, right, you can actually embed your case studies, so you share stories of clients you've worked with and the results you produced, right? And what typically happens is someone will come up to you and go, hey Joe, that case study you mentioned, I want to know more about that, right? And that opens the door into the sales conversation. Okay,
absolutely.
That's worked well for me, and it's worked well for others that I've taught this to as well. So they're 5, and then there's another 10 more you can look at on the website.
And we'll link that in the show notes because I think it's a very long URL. Also, how can people get I think it's free, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to get the kind of like the case study, really deep dive PDF, and you have a bunch of email templates as well.
Yes, so I've put it all onto a nice little page, like the guide, the blog post I just talked about. Just go to simplecreativemarketing.com/hustle. If you go there, It's all there for you guys, and just go grab it.
You made our life and everyone listening so much easier. Thank you. I wrote down hustles for some reason. No, because I remember downloading that stuff, the case study where it walks through probably even more in depth than what you can do here, or at least it follows along. And then you have templates, email templates, like whole What are the templates around, actually? I didn't really dive in those as much.
Yeah. Good question. So one of the, a common question I get is, how do I get my client to agree to doing the case study?
That's it. Yeah.
Right. And so we use a template to basically, there's a template in there, which is the one that we use for our clients, and they send it out to their clients. And it basically says the rule number one of anything around this is, what's in it for them, right? So if you're going to ask someone to be profiled on your website and in your marketing, okay, like unless they really love you and they're like, sure, I'm happy to help you, right? In most cases, you're going to have to convince them some way, right? And there's got to be a benefit for them. So, one benefit that really works really well is we're going to profile you. You get your 5 minutes of fame in front of our audience, right? We know you serve a similar type of audience, or one segment within our audience is the same type of business that you go after, right? We're going to put you in front of them, okay? And so that's one way. Another way is for a lot of agencies that, I've got a client I'm working with now who supports agencies, and what she said to me was, well, some agencies don't want to be on a customer success story page with 10 other agencies because now they're all competing. And I'm going, I get that. So what would be a benefit to the agency? And she said, well, maybe, I don't know, they like to get a backlink because that's going to help their SEO. Boom. Okay. So understand what's the benefit for the person you're asking, right? And put that in there. So one of the templates goes through that. The other templates are all around, so there's a follow-up on that. There's also, if you're working, with writers and things like that, templates to give to the writers so they can do the writing for you. So there's other pieces of that in there.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, oh wow, you just like took the thinking out of a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go grab all this stuff.
We're gonna use this, yeah, and for affiliate, because like that's really what we're doing. We're reworking a lot of stuff in the business where other folks can kind of really take and run what we used to be caught up in a lot, and we're just heads down into content. So I know Matt specifically is going to write a lot more of our style, but probably even weave in the case study thing even further.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I dig it. Cool. Well, we're going to link everything up. I know there's a long, simplecreativemarketing.com/hustle for that. Amph, this is awesome, dude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Love rocking with you today. And we'll just continue doing what we do. And I love your group. Everyone should join that group if you're not already in there.
That's flowchartgroup.com for anybody listening.
Get there. Hey, we'll speed up the outro. That's where you get the notes for all this stuff from Amph too, because we took the notes for you. Flowchartgroup.com. Bam. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Awesome, man. This has been great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Rolling.
Roland?
Rolling. He doesn't need free shoutouts.
Oh, okay. We'll edit that part out.
No, I'm talking about you mean the Roland from Schitt's Creek, right?
Roland?
Have you not watched that show?
I have not watched that show.
You have not watched that show.
Did somebody recommend that to us?
No, I've just been watching it, but it's like one of the most popular sitcom-y shows that have been running for like the last 5 years. I think on like cable.
I think,
but it's on Hulu. It's really good.
My sister-in-law told me to check it out because
It's
somebody else brought that
hell.
show up like recently, and I'm pretty sure it was Cambria.
Probably, yeah. It's clever as hell. I recommend it. It's just like one of those 30-minute things, 20-minute things, just like quick comedy. That storyline. There's a guy named Roland on there, and he's the mayor, and he's a dirtbag. So it's kind of funny. It's a little different than totally just schluppity. Yeah. So
we'll check it out. We actually started watching Parks and Recreation again. We watched all of The Office all the way through since quarantine started. We've watched Community all the way through every single episode, and now we started on Parks and Rec.
Wait, are these all rewatching?
Yeah, I've seen Community I'd never watched before.
Oh, okay.
We did. I rewatched all of The Office, and we're rewatching Parks and Rec, but Community I'd never seen before.
Got it. Okay. I probably should watch them fully through.
Community is some of my favorite writing. Dan Harmon, he's the same guy who writes Rick and Morty. Like he's my favorite like TV show writer for sure.
Yeah.
There's one season where they fired him and he didn't write for one season, and it's like a shitty ass season.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Okay. Cool. Well, check out Schitt's Creek, see what you think.
All right.
It should be one of those things. First episode, you're like, all right, this is interesting.
Yeah. I'll check it out.
Saying all that, Anfernee.
Yeah. Good transition.
I mean, who needs a transition anyway? But yeah, no, this guy. So it was just really cool to have Amph on because he's been, I would say, just such a ambassador to our community. Like he's been just like he's always there to like give advice, make connections, make intros to us too for the podcast, and it's cool to have him on the show too because I didn't really know deep dive like what he does until now, and then he's just content galore, everything like deep dive content. Yeah.
I've been on one of his podcasts. You've been on his virtual summit.
Yeah,
right. He's been in our Facebook group for a while, interacting and providing value in the group. And I mean, we've gotten to build a good relationship with him over the last year or so, and so it was really cool to have him on the show to talk about this stuff and talk about case studies. And I feel like there in the marketing world, there's very few topics that we really haven't touched on already. But the concept of case studies, I think, is kind of a new one that we haven't really dove into in other episodes.
Yeah, and he even said he kind of wanted to be he wants to be the case study guy, like known for case studies. I'm like, well, it seems like one of those areas that probably is very effective.
Yeah, it's a blue ocean right now.
Yeah,
seems like it.
Yeah, so he started off with the content strategy. So I mean, there's probably tons of takeaways here from both of us, but the fact that I think the strategy side, even though it's one of those that it's more the broad stroke thing, it's not like here are the tactics, but like the 5 things he said, there's so much going on in each one of those. I think the big one, I think that has helped us a lot with our strategy. I guess a couple things. What
were you going to say? The third one, the understanding your brand.
I was going to go fourth, more like the brand voice, but it's
those kind of overlap for sure.
Yeah, and then I was going to say our system, which is like basically he was calling it the buyer's journey. That where you're going to have strategic content along this whole journey that someone takes with you from pre-purchase to purchase to post-purchase.
Yeah.
And you got to be strategic. I feel like we've done those a lot, and we've been, our brand voice, I guess, the tone come off as just two dudes that are just having fun hanging out with people on Zoom now all the time.
I feel like our brand voice is literally us making the decision that we're going to do the exact same thing on the mics as we do if the mics weren't turned on. That's our brand voice.
Pretty much. Yes, that is true.
Because I think in the beginning where we listened to other podcasts and there was a lot of shows sort of like in our head that were sort of influencing,
modeling, right?
Yeah. So we were influenced by a lot of other podcasts. We would get on these shows and we'd interview like other interviewers. We'd have banter and discussions like other shows.
Oh, I was like studying Tim Ferriss, I remember, and all of the questions he had in Tools of Titans.
Dude,
or
we
whatever.
even asked some of the questions that Tim used to ask.
I think so many people. Yeah. What would you put on a billboard if you had the ability?
Never asked that one.
I know we didn't, because it's such an obvious one.
Yeah.
But I have heard other podcasts. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But I remember I was in my head a ton because
Yeah.
I got to ask the perfect question. I got to sound perfect.
Yep.
It's like, no, just be you.
I don't even remember where that transition came, but it was there at
Brand
some
voice.
point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But for our podcast, at some point, we just made this conscious decision of dude, let's just stop caring.
It felt like last year.
That's a bad way of putting it. Stop caring. We care about our podcast. Let's stop caring about what comes out of our mouths
and what people think about that. Yeah. I think it was last year is where we were starting to talk about on here. Where it's just we just kind of just let it go of a lot. And I know more so even this year. But yeah, it only took us almost 4 years to get there. So cool. Stick with it, y'all.
Yeah.
Just like Anf was saying with the content strategy.
Yeah. So coming back, he broke down that whole flow, which is going to be something that is going to be amazing on the notes. When Sue makes these notes and she's just going to have this breakdown of here is the template you can use for these case studies, the headline, the profile of the client, the challenge, the solution, the result, your call to action. That's going to be all mapped out on a cheat sheet. So that cheat sheet's going to be amazing. But also when we got to the part about how do I actually get eyeballs on it? One of the things that I thought was really, really good was the use the case studies when you send proposals.
Right.
I really, really like that concept. If somebody's coming to me, wanting to potentially hire me, they're asking for a proposal, I send them back a proposal, and in that proposal, here's some links to some case studies of clients getting results from what we taught.
That'd be huge. Right before the buying decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to me is really, really smart.
I wish we knew that back when, we've never done a lot of proposals, but especially not now. But yeah, for consultants, coaches out there, I mean, if that's your jam, shoot, use all of those case studies or people success stories, and then turn them into case studies.
Yeah,
and then plug them on your proposal right before the person has to or is choosing to commit to you.
Yeah.
It's really smart. How about for I want to get your thoughts around how you think we'll apply this to our current strategy with content marketing and affiliate marketing. I want to hear your thoughts, since that's your brainchild.
Yeah. So I've got a few ideas. First of all, I really like his flow, right? So I'm definitely going to adopt his flow for a few of our case studies. I actually have a flow, a template that I created myself for case studies that works as well, but I'm going to test this one as well, and we'll kind of compare them. But I think one of the big ideas that I took away that I think is going to be really killer if I can make this work right is promoting affiliate products, but going and finding customers of those products and essentially getting them to break down the before and after of them using a product. I'll write an article around that other person's use case. And so basically what I'm saying is creating right now the template that I use is a case study based on us using this tool that we're promoting.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, this opens the doors for me to create a lot more case studies on the same exact products, but from other people's perspectives.
With Jill, with Sam, with their stories. And I mean, that I think would be, I would think it might be more, applicable to this whole thing.
Yeah. So real world example, right? ConvertBox. That's one of the ones that we promote. We actually have a couple case studies online, but both case studies that we have online are our own use case of here's the results we've seen from ConvertBox, right? There's some people out there who might read that case study and go, well, that's you guys, right? You're an affiliate of the product, so you're going to try to make it look as good as possible. So this case study is very self-serving, right? Which it is. We're affiliate marketers. It's what we do. But that is, that's going to impact the buying decision for people. Them looking at it going, okay, this is their result. Oh, wait, but they're an affiliate of it. Where if, now it opens the doors for me to make more case studies on the exact same product, but I'm bringing somebody else's credibility. I'm not saying this is my story. I'm saying this is somebody else's story of using ConvertBox now. And then I can break down a case study of somebody else using it, giving more credibility and still using our affiliate link.
So you gave me an idea how to extend what you're saying right there is if you want to say promote Thrivecart, let's say, in a different market, call it bookkeepers or accountants. If they need, probably not them actually, because they just have like QuickBooks or Xero, but like, some other industry, maybe a sector of coaches or consultants.
Pornhub.
Sure. You're really obsessed with that. You mentioned that twice in this episode.
Was that in this one?
I think so.
Oh shit.
Maybe it was the last one. I don't know. Well, you know where Matt's head's at.
I don't know. It came up in a conversation earlier somehow. I don't remember why.
That's funny. But that's an example too. You can go to... Do you want me to run with that example?
They need credit card processors too, Joe.
Okay, so if we use the Pornhub example, so if you have someone in the porn industry, which I don't know actually I know one person. I won't name his name though. And
do I?
I don't think he's still it's actually his family. But I'll leave it right there. You might be listening. Is you find someone like that who has that can be that voice and tell that story. So when you want to market Thrivecart to the porn community, which
hopefully Anfernee doesn't mind this comparison, but because it's in his episode.
I'm not naming him in this scenario. He just did give me the idea a little bit, as did you. But like you get someone like that, you place him in the case study, and now boom, you have the ability to go market to the porn industry to this affiliate product that you never like. Matt, as far as I know, I don't think you're in the porn industry, so. You used to be, huh?
No,
I'm just kidding. You did it. But that's the whole thing. It's like, think about how many other niches you can get into if you use, take your mind off of porn now, Matt. Okay. Because in all seriousness, take what you just said.
Don't think of purple elephants.
No. Ew. Go find someone in whatever industry you want to go after. And now you don't have to act like you're the the freaking expert there. Go find someone, and you could probably do that just going to these Facebook groups like I brought up there. It's like, yo, who's using ConvertBox?
Yeah,
really cool. And then you find some industries that maybe you find some overlaps, and then boom, you find your person, your avatar, and now you have an entry into that market with your affiliate product.
Yeah, I mean, an even simpler way too is like, we're in the Thrivecart. We run a Thrivecart Facebook group, but we're also in the official Thrivecart Facebook group. And there's people going in there all the time sharing like their success stories, right? There's people in there going, hey, I use Thrivecart. This is what it was before. This is what I did. Check out my results. There's nothing that says we can't go on Facebook, shoot that person a private message and just say, hey, that testimonial they wrote about Thrivecart, I'm writing a blog post. Do you mind if I use that in my blog post?
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to tell them that you're an affiliate and you're going to use it in a case study and you're going to make money off their testimonial. But you could go to them and say, hey, I'm writing up a blog post about Thrivecart. Do you mind if I use that quote that you just put on Facebook?
Sure. You can do that. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're getting permission, I like the idea of using other people as avatars in these case studies, though, and making sure there's a benefit for them, of course.
Yeah.
For that person, you find whatever benefit there is if they need it. I mean, sometimes like he was saying, some people will just be glad to give you their story.
Yeah.
And that's why his templates, Anfernee's, are so interesting and probably helpful in this scenario too, is he literally has all these templates and how you can communicate this to folks. So you don't have to think about how do I woo this person to give me their life story for my case study that I'm going to make money on, and they're probably not going to make money on, which is the case with pretty much all case studies, right? But you want to give them a little little cred, and little PR or whatever.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, for me, there's only so many case studies I can write about how I use a tool, right? Like,
I mean, you do like you, right?
I like me.
Your ego is. No, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
It's not.
But I can only, but not from an ego perspective. If I'm using ConvertBox and I'm using it in two different ways, I can't write 30 case studies on the 2 ways I'm using ConvertBox, but I can go and find other people that are using ConvertBox in ways that I'm not and get case studies from them and, give people even more ideas on how to use ConvertBox by leveraging the stories of others.
Well, they give you they're making the content for you, basically. That's what's kind of cool. You're just putting in a format that works, that's proven, making sure it fits into that buyer journey that you have, using the voice that we have. Yeah. I mean, it's now you start applying all those 5 strategy points that Anf talked about.
Yep. Faux show.
I like it.
Cool. Well, he gave us a URL, a special URL. So all of these templates and this blog post we were talking about and all of this good stuff he put together at simplecreativemarketing.com/hustle.
Yes, he did. Yes. And you can also get the notes of this episode.
Yep. You can get our notes
at flowchartgroup.com. I guess I already said that when Amp was actually on there. Yeah. He was basically saying, do the same thing. Yep. Flowchartgroup.com. Go there and you'll meet Amp as well. He hangs out and comments a lot. So if you have any questions for this episode, boom, go there.
He'll be there to answer.
He'll be there. Yeah, that's about it. We got Easy Webinar, our lovely sponsors, and thank you very much.
So lovely.
And they are lovely.
They look very pretty tonight.
Tonight, yes. It's getting dark.
Yep. Joe's got to ride his bike home.
Ride my bike. I might ask for a ride, but I'll see.
You already turned down my ride.
Oh, I can't.
No, that was a one-time offer. It expired. I put a countdown on it.
So Easy Webinar. If you're making webinars, think about this, though. You can actually use all these case studies in webinars as well. That's one of the applications.
Yes.
So it's like a perfect application, actually.
And I think I have a case study about Easy Webinar on our blog somewhere.
Talk about it.
Well, no, it's a KST. Sorry. It's not a case study.
That's true, but we'll work a case study in those KSTs maybe in the future. But yeah, either way, think about how if you're using webinars right now or thinking about using webinars, Easy Webinar is the tool for you because they do all types of webinars.
Including webinars with case studies.
And case studies. Yeah, that's one of the types of webinars.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we're making that up. But unless you see it on their sales page, it might be true, but it's probably not. But you can use case studies strategically in the way of the buyer journey during a webinar. So think about what you just learned here in this episode and apply it to webinars, and your tool to use all of that to make that happen is Easy Webinar.
Yes.
And they've hooked us up with a fat discount. If you go to easywebinar.com/hustle, easywebinar.com/hustle, get a fat percentage off. Go join. We love it. We love the guys over there that run that thing, and we use it ourselves when we do webinars. So go get it. And thank you very much for listening. Share this with your friends.
Share it with everybody.
And yeah,
make it your email signature.
Oh, wow. That's aggressive. But go for it. Thank you.
That'd be awesome if I got an email and this was in their signature.
You will be royalty in the Hustle and Flowchart community forever.
Yeah.
Engraved in, not gold, that's for sure. Engraved in something.
I don't know where you're going with that. Let's just end it here.
VIP status. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. We love you. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice, simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address, and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.